Yeah, so Uber just sucks. Their customer service is just horrible. The idea that you can't have in 2023 that you can't have a person on a computer chat supporting you who then has the ability to chat a driver or call a driver or provide you with a link to call the driver. All these things are possible using today's technology, and they're done by other organizations. So the fact that Uber just refuses to and takes 12 hours to even respond to your messages is pathetic and unacceptable. So what actually happened? Well, what happened was pretty silly. I used Uber here in Taipei to order a Uber taxi. I put in 2 destinations because Uber's constantly advertising, hey, you can go up to 6 destinations, right? So I put in the first destination was a 7-Eleven, and I went there because I lost my credit card in an ATM machine, because I live in China, we don't use credit cards in ATM machines anymore. So left my card in the machine and wanted to go pick it up. So put that as the first location, right? And then my second location was my hotel, which was a lot further away. And this is pretty late at night. I told the driver in Mandarin, which I speak, that I need to stop there because I lost my credit card. Right? And he said, oh, okay. He was an older guy. We stop outside, and I said, I don't know if this is the right 7-Eleven. I think it was. Wait a minute, I'll be right back. He got out of the car, and this is where I made my fatal mistake. My only mistake of the night was I left my bag in the car. And as soon as I walked into the 7-Eleven, I felt my phone vibrate like I got a message. And I realized what that was actually him ending the trip. Because it's late at night and he wants to go home to his family, I get it. But he ended the trip and he drove off with my bag. So I got my credit card back real quick. And within 1 minute, I was out of the 7-Eleven and there's no taxi there. This is where the problem starts. I open up my Uber app, report something lost or left in the car, which is the only real option I have, other than saying it's an emergency, which I don't want to do. So I report it, I get put into a chat, as you can see here, and sure enough, the chat, there's no human being talking to me. And it says at the top, customer service representative will be with you when they're available. When they're available, they should be available right now. So I put in a message saying, this driver just drove away with my bag. I didn't ask him to leave. He decided to end the trip and drive away. Please contact the driver immediately and tell him I'm still here at the drop-off location to come back and bring me the bag. But remember, this is a minute after he's left, so an immediate communication, an immediate phone call to that driver, saying, hey, that passenger left something in the car because you weren't supposed to drive away, would have been enough to make my night go easy. The guy could have turned around. If he had picked up another fare, he could say, hey, I just picked up another fare, but tell the customer it'll be about 30 minutes and I'll be back. Or I can bring it someplace else for an extra fee or whatever. But that instant communication that didn't happen would have solved all of my problems. So if someone had been available to see, this is a situation that requires immediate attention and needs to be involved. How long did it take Uber to get in touch? Right? Very long. You can see that the message lasted, it was 8 hours before I received even an initial reply, and that initial reply was completely generic, as you can see here, and it doesn't address any of my concerns or any of my concerns in the follow-up messages. As you can see, I was pretty frantic, right, because my computer's in the car, I need my computer for work, I'm here on business, without that I can't do my job. And again, it's not my fault that I left it in the car. It was a stupid decision to think that the guy understood me 100%, but the fact that there's another destination input into the Uber system should tell that driver, I'm not done. Or maybe I should inquire, does he really want me to leave? Or maybe I should look in the back seat and see if he left anything there before I just take off, right? Just insane, right? Insane. Bad behavior by the driver, but worse behavior by Uber that they allow this to happen. And they don't contact me immediately. So I can't sleep. I'm missing my computer. I'm missing my stuff. I wake up several times during the night, check my messages, still nothing. It's not till 10 in the morning that I get a message. And then the message is generic. I follow up and I don't get a message back for some time. So the follow-up message here is even worse. We haven't been able to reach the driver yet. What do you mean you haven't been able to reach the driver yet? He doesn't have a phone? You can't call him and say, hey, this guy, you're an idiot and you drove off with this guy's backpack. You need to bring it back to him now? As opposed to, oh, it might take 1 to 3 days to get your backpack. Like ultimately, if Uber had said to me, we have been in touch with your driver, he has your computer, he has your bag, within 12 hours, I probably would be more satisfied. Still not 100% thrilled, but more satisfied. But I don't get that. I just get, it's going to take 1 to 3 days. So this whole time I still have a computer. Come on. How hard is it? It should be very simple. It should be picking up a phone and calling. So to prove how simple this was, I finally talked to the hotel staff. I called a few cab companies. It turns out there's several cab companies in Taipei, excuse me. And they didn't know. And the hotel guy just said, let's call the police. He's all right. He called the police. And in 10 minutes, the police had, using just the guy's license plate number, which I was able to find, they were able to call the taxi driver and say, hey, you have a customer that's reported that you drove off with his belongings. And now it took about 2 or 3 hours before the taxi driver got to his taxi, because maybe he wasn't working that day, and said, yes, I have the bag. But from the time that I launched my concern to the time that my concern was addressed by the local police was 4 hours. That should not be the case. It should take far longer for a government bureaucracy to accomplish the goal than it would take for a for-profit organization. So again, shame on you, Uber. I then decided to out them on Twitter, as I found that's often an effective method for dealing with these companies that just don't care about us, right, as consumers. And so I sent a message on Twitter, and you can see here, it's almost like I'm talking to a bot. It's like there's not a real person at the other end of this, and it's just a computer saying, DM us with your information, and we'll talk to you. And I'm like, no, I want you to publicly explain why you don't have customer service, like real-time customer service. So that's, again, why I'm making this video, to call Uber out on their bullshit, and to maybe see if they'll actually respond to it in a substantive way, and to answer the simple question, why can't you have real-time customer service? So to contrast this, with the Didi app that I use in China, in the mainland, if I have a customer service complaint about a driver, I am immediately put in touch via chat with an English-speaking operator. If I spoke Chinese and wanted to do it in Chinese, likewise, I would instantly be connected to a human being who will listen to my problem and report it. And so if this had happened to me in my home city of Chengdu, I would have instantly gotten a phone call from the driver, but more importantly, I still would have had the driver's phone number so I could directly call them and say, hey, you left my bag in the car, if you just swing back around. But Uber doesn't even offer that basic functionality in their platform for me to contact the driver and have them immediately come back 30 seconds or a minute after the incident because I left something in the car. It's just unconscionable. And so what are you going to argue? China has a population of 1.4 billion people. And I'm going to venture a safe guess that half of them use Didi as a ride app because it's very convenient and very cheap on a semi-regular basis. I can't believe that Uber has more rides than Didi. So I'm willing to bet that Didi, in terms of number of rides per hour, probably beats Uber. And yet somehow Didi can provide that service. And Didi is a private corporation. And it's unfortunate that today we live in a world where these big corporations seem to be responsive to customers because we've got things like Twitter and things like that where we can call them out publicly. But at the same time, they're just not responsive. They just don't care. They don't care about us. They just care about money, which they've always done, but now it's sort of blatant because we have this ability to reach out to them and to say, hey, fix your problem. And they just go, thank you for your input, thank you for your support. But they're unwilling to have a real conversation about how that could happen. And they're not going to change because at the end of the day, it's the bean counters, it's the accountants who say, well, you know what, we can still maintain this business. Who else are you going to use but Uber? So yeah, we might lose this customer, but at the end of the day, we don't care. Right? We don't care about it. Our bottom line is we're still doing okay. And I would just say that it's not acceptable anymore. We need to do something about it as consumers. And so again, this is one of the reasons I'm making this video is just to call you out, Uber, call you out for being absolute shit and that you should fix it.